Yes, go ahead.
Here, one of the dozen or so Iron Dome batteries sits at the ready to intercept missiles and provide Israel with a type of shield from aerial attacks.
I'm the Iron Dome commander.
Lieutenant Colonel Iran Cohen oversees its operation.
Is this as close as we get, or do we get...
This is as close as we get.
It took just 3 years and about $200 million to develop this defense system. It relies on a radar that instantly detects when a missile has been fired. Algorithms quickly try to determine what type of projectile is in the air and whether it's heading for a populated or strategic area. If so, Iron Dome launches a missile of its own. It's said that Iron Dome has taken down more than 1,000 missiles since it turned on in 2011, with a 90% success rate. Some people question the accuracy of these figures. What's clear, though, is that the algorithms capable of directing projectiles while performing a cost-benefit analysis on human life are among the most advanced in the world. This network of launchers is highly mobile and constantly on the move. This site, like many, is temporary.
Everything you see here can be moved out in a matter of hours. And we move around a lot to make sure nobody knows where we are all the time.
Unless you live here, it's difficult to imagine just how much this technology has transformed the lives of ordinary Israelis.
I can tell you from my own personal experience, sitting in my own house and seeing rockets fired towards my house and operating this incredible system and succeeding. With the Iron Dome, when you see your house that you're protecting and your family and your friends and your soldiers, it's a sense of great sense of pride.
Yep. So where did all this come from, this technology? You say they developed that in 3 years. Not really. Not really at all. This technology began a long time ago, and it was considered very controversial when it was first proposed by President Ronald Reagan. I should know, I was there. He had in his mind what he called the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI. It was mocked as Star Wars, an impossibility, wasting tens of billions of dollars. The left trashed him. They trashed the whole project. They did everything they could to defund the project. This purely defensive project. You might remember when the president met with Gorbachev in Iceland, Reykjavik. Gorbachev said, look, let's just have a deal. No nukes, but take that Strategic Defense Initiative off the table. Now, why did he want it taken off the table? For 2 reasons. Number one, their technology couldn't keep up with ours, not even close. And number two, he knew that in essence, if we got good enough at this, most of their nuclear weapons would be pointless, whereas we would still have nuclear weapons and the Strategic Defense Initiative. And Reagan not only said no, he said hell no. And he continued to force Congress to pour billions and billions of dollars into the research. The research of a bullet hitting a bullet. Even more, a missile hitting a missile. Things that couldn't have even been imagined, things that were mocked. So we went back at the Reagan Presidential Library and we looked at this soundbite from March 23, 1983, of Ronald Reagan talking about defense and national security. Check this out. Go ahead.
For 20 years, the Soviet Union has been accumulating enormous military might. They didn't stop when their forces exceeded all requirements of a legitimate defensive capability, and they haven't stopped now. During the past decade and a half, the Soviets have built up a massive arsenal of new strategic nuclear weapons, weapons that can strike directly at the United States. As an example, the United States introduced its last new intercontinental ballistic missile, the Minuteman III, in 1969, and we're now dismantling our even older Titan missiles. But what has the Soviet Union done in these intervening years? Well, since 1969, the Soviet Union has built 5 new classes of ICBMs and upgraded these 8 times. As a result, their missiles are much more powerful and accurate than they were several years ago, and they continue to develop more, while ours are increasingly obsolete. Let me share with you a vision of the future which offers hope.
Stop. This is the key, but I want you to think about another issue here. Reagan speaking directly to the American people, going over the heads of the various media outlets, which were extremely hostile to him and hostile to his ideas. And notice as he speaks, he sticks with his script, which has been well constructed and well planned, and they even have graphics to explain to the American people what's going on. I've been urging President Trump to do this for months with respect to his programs, with respect to his priorities. He is not going to get a fair shake from the media. He needs to do these sorts of things. Why they don't follow the most successful president, not only in modern American history, in all of one of the most successful in all of history, enormous popularity, two massive landslides. When he left office, he was incredibly popular, and he defeated the Soviet Union. And frankly, he defeated socialism at home and unleashed our capitalist system. Why we don't learn from him the way the Democrats learned from FDR, I don't know. But the fact that he gives a speech like this and the nature of the speech is crucially important. But here's the kicker. Go.
It is that we embark on a program to counter the awesome Soviet missile threat with measures that are defensive. Let us turn to the very strengths in technology that spawned our great industrial base and that have given us the quality of life we enjoy today. What if free people could live secure in the knowledge that their security did not rest upon the threat of instant U.S. retaliation to deter a Soviet attack, that we could intercept and destroy strategic ballistic missiles before they reached our own soil or that of our allies? I know this is a formidable technical task, one that may not be accomplished before the end of this century. Yet current technology has attained a level of sophistication where it's reasonable for us to begin this effort.
Stop. See, this is a statesman. This is a leader. See the foresight? He understands we're behind a bit on technology, but we need to build toward it for the end of the century. This is 34 years ago. It's thanks to him and his leadership and the resources that he demanded be applied to this that we have THAAD, that we have the Iron Dome, that we're able to test from Alaska an intercontinental ballistic missile hitting an intercontinental ballistic missile. 34 years ago. And the man who gave him this idea and lobbied him, and the man who he consulted often was General Daniel Graham, who was also mocked. But this is a good lesson for us. Great people are mocked all the time, in and out of politics. Great people with great ideas who think outside the box. They are attacked and mocked all the time, the way Reagan was with SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, which they called Star Wars and so forth and so on.